Today, we have 20 overpowered players you need in FC 25. And when I think overpowered, not that high rated, but a high level of performance. You can run this up in the comment section. Let me know. We're not gonna hold you up. Not necessarily listed in order, but Rafinha, the Brazilian, out wide, can play both wings. Always a finesse if you're cutting inside. And he comes with 7 play styles. Upamecano, always a sleeper build. He's quick, he's physical, and he lines up well if you get into that manual defending atmosphere. Madri, what are we talking about? 5-star skills. Can play as a center mid, can play out wide. You got a whipped pass for a playstyle plus to go with an assortment of other playstyles. Nice additions, extracurricular. I loved her last year, and I don't think it's gonna be an issue going forward. And I know for a fact that she is gonna come in discount shopping price tag. The hype's not there, but the ability is most definitely on the horizon. Alphonso Davies, the Canadian dream. Unlimited pace and athleticism, but there is plenty of room for concern when it comes to positioning, maybe some of the defensive numbers, that combination, at least with his baseline item. But for an 82 overall, if you're building out of the Bundesliga or you're putting together some sort of Canadian squad, Davies should be in a rotational. And he's got good history. Crystal Dunn, Conte-esque, but with skills and better offense. I used her last year, really enjoyed that experience. I even put her into an Evo. If I can sprinkle or put that into some manifestation, early edition, that would be a nice added touch. Back-to-back Americans, Trinity Rodman, say less. Pace with explosiveness, 7 play styles, instant counterattacks, so much goodness. We saw her last year burst onto the scene quite literally. Tamori, I know that we're talking about pace, but in a year where plenty of players saw a reduction, 84 is serious numbers for a center back, 81 acceleration, 87 sprint speed, which means you've got a nice little average. Sometimes that can get offset, and the defending and the physical can do the job. You're not going to have complaints. I wouldn't have been mad if you got a little more extra emphasis if you went in there bench pressing, but Tamori, for what he's going to cost you, which I am doing a little bit of some predictions as we're recording, is going to give you a return of value and a lot of potential for that overpowered nature. Pulisic, and am I biased? Maybe slightly, but he's got the speed, the finesse, and 84 finishing. And if there was one major critique, you said he wasn't a goal scorer. That's changed. To go with the weak foot, the skill moves, a lot of potential, a lot of itemization, a lot of appreciation. As Wayback would say,
this shit is fantastic.
Fantastisch. Back to the Serie A, Lookman. I can almost guarantee he's going to cost you nothing. High-end dribbling, explosiveness, and 85 finishing. I can't stress the importance of being able to convert and being clinical, especially early on. I need every advantage you're going to give me. Does have lowish stamina, so probably ends up being maybe a player that starts off and you get him for 60, 70 minutes at best, or comes off the bench, super sub. But when you're not paying hefty price tags, and there's again a little bit of some anticipation, some estimation, some prediction that goes into that evaluation, you're still getting a good ROI. Kyle Walker, Mr. Consistent, 10 years of being world class. I don't love the stats, but they're not newspaper numbers, and you know what you're gonna get. He's a defensive fullback. If you wanted to play him in a non-traditional role as a center back, you could also make that happen. Offensively, he's not gifted and talented. He's not giving you the razzle and the dazzle. You're not going to have a lot of whippage. He's just not a maestro type of player. But on the defensive end, he can deal with the top attackers, both wingers and strikers, and even in some of those physical arrangements. He can get himself into an entanglement and come out on top. Talisca, we have a history. Beginning of game cycles, this man is always on the up and up. Cheap Brazilian, easy links, multiple positions, any of the attacking roles. He's unusual, he's unorthodox, 6'4", he's slender, still has that movement, that Brazilian flair, can score goals, can facilitate. I feel comfortable. The skills, they do pay those bills. And you can use them centrally, you can use them out wide, you can play him from a knockdown perspective, you can play him in a false 9. There's so much you can do with Talisca, and at least for yours truly, before all the promo players are launched and released, Talisca makes his way into squads constantly, every single year. Malin, and I would recommend using him up front, not as a winger. Fast, has the dribbling, 84 finishing, bit of a through ball merchant. I'm not mad about that. Fits into overpowered category quite well. Hakimi, one of the best fullbacks in the game, at least as it's released. I don't think this will be any different heading into FC 25. 92 stamina, which allows you to burst and track back down the wings. He won't be the most physical, but offensively and some of the sheer aggressiveness and just as an outlet out wide or a wingback role, it's a nice helping advantage. Keeping a similar theme, Kolomuani, turn and burn. Did I mention through balls? This man is ready for those. If anything, he might be more of a newish Aubameyang-esque type of striker. If you want a comparison player, of course, we saw him in action last year. You were not disappointed. Marcus Rashford. And spoiler, will be the only 81 on my list. But we know this game, and between the skills, the size, 89 pace, power shot for a playstyle plus, and a track record, a proof of concept, previous history, even with a downgrade, I'm not saying that Rashford will be better, but he will be on par with what we're used to. Correa, what? And hell is an angel, and the footwork is impeccable every single year. The way that he has responsiveness and the left stick dribbling and what you're able to accomplish, and this year in particular coming with a baseline 85 finishing, that's out of the ordinary. Mickey, what are we talking about? I'm excited to put this item into motion. I'm sure that you are as well. Don't have to be a fan, but 88 pace, left-footed, center back, 6'4", Premier League, 80 plus defending and physical. How could you not want to incorporate it? I'm going to throw this out here. He should be, just off the percentages, quite easy to pack, which means you'll be more commonly able to get them into rotations and you won't have to pay that market price, even though I don't think he'll be that expensive for that long, just based on the rating and the probability of packs. The point being, you're likely to get him in some sort of starter situation and scenario, which means you can see if it's the real deal or if he comes out looking a little suspect. Chiesa, the Italian, price might be an issue. He's got that new Premier League tax. If we were still talking Serie A, not going to be a concern, but the numbers are numbering. I liked what he put into motion last year with him moving leagues and organizations and clubs. If anything, I'm expecting more promo items, more hype, and even better ability. Victor, I've seen the socials. People are talking about him, the upgrade, the improvements. I want my opinion on record. Now, 90 pace, that is lovely. No complaints. But the dribbling, it's not great. You do get some physicality. He doesn't have play styles. He does have a 5-star weak foot. You see, I'm giving you some give and some take. I just have some questions. If this is going to be a special individual or he ends up being more regular than people are anticipating. In some ways, he reminds me of potentially being in that realm of the Immobiles where you have high-rated and decent numbers, but doesn't necessarily translate to the virtual pitch. Time will tell, but because of the hype, I wanted to include him, and I wanted my opinion on record, which leaves us to one of the most overpowered players in history, Ferland Mendy. And again, you're going to have to pay an extra helper. Might cost you a decent amount of your club. And he arguably will be the best in his position, even at an 84. And we know what this is all about. From the physicality to the pace, to the athleticism, the track back, the way that he wins matchups, that extra juice or the little bit of sauce that EA gives Mendy every single season. I'm still haunted by that foot miss Mendy. If you want to rerun the years, that version of Mendy went on to play for almost the remainder of the year. This is the reality. Don't come after the messenger. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What players did we leave off? It's a big list. The database is out. It's available. And turn on some notifications because we're going to be uploading a lot. I'm talking about content coming out ASAP.